When you think about electric and hybrid cars, you probably think about the Toyota Prius and the Nissan Leaf. Family-sized hatchbacks that are practical and relatively affordable for electric hybrid cars. But there's a new player in town, and this is it. It's the Hyundai Ioniq. It's available as a hybrid and electric, but the question is, can it mix it with the big boys? Well, let's find out. Now, one thing you might notice in here is just how normal it looks. Manufacturers often go overboard when it's an electric car. They think they've got to make it space age and super and complicated, and in fact it just scares people. So what Hyundai have done, have just made it very simple, very clean, quite stylish, but very usable. So you're not going to be scared off. I've got a conventional, comfortable driving position. Got a great view out. I'm sitting slightly higher, so that helps with my view. The dials are quite clear and simple, although they are a little bit small in some of the details. Sat-nav's nice and clear, again very, very simple, as is the ventilation system. All the ventilation system does have is a driver-only option, so you can save more fuel as you're driving along. There's a sport mode on the gearbox, which changes the dials from blue to red to signify it's all sporty. I've got a nice deep central bin here. This area is slightly redesigned on the electric version because you don't need the gearbox. I've got a charging point here for my phone, which is done by Bluetooth and wirelessly, and I've got my plugins for my USBs. It all looks pretty good so far. So pulling away in the Ioniq, you pull away in milk float mode. I'm in electric only, so it's nice and quiet, it's very peaceful. Sometimes difficult to know that the car's actually turned on, because there's no startup of a motor or no obvious rev counter to show that the engine's ticking over. For an electric hybrid car, it actually handles very well. It's nowhere near sporty, but it certainly has a lot of grip. The steering's very good. Hyundai have really concentrated on that. They've always been guilty of having a dead ahead feel to the steering, and that's gone. The 1.6 litre engine is perky enough when it's in sport mode. When it's not in sport mode, it's in eco mode as standard, which means you always feel a restriction against it. It wants you to drive slower, it wants you to accelerate less aggressively and therefore save fuel, which is great. The fact that this has got a 6-speed automatic dual clutch gearbox and you can put it in sport mode means you don't have to sit there and be economical if you don't want to be, and you feel that freeness instantly. The whole car just becomes looser and you can accelerate and you don't feel that you're held back. But there's enough punch there when you want it. If you want to overtake something, leave it in eco mode or put it into sport mode and you're away quite quickly. I've driven about 80 miles in this so far, and I've achieved 46.1 miles per gallon, which is well short of what the manufacturer says. The gearbox also shifts very nicely. It's quite a seamless shift, and equally when you then put it into manual mode, they're quite instantaneous. It's not a sports gearbox, but again it's very impressive for Hyundai's first time at a hybrid car, but also the fact that it's a hybrid car. At motorway speeds, there's a little bit of wind noise that comes through from the front windscreen pillars, but because the car is so quiet, you notice it, and you probably wouldn't normally. There's a little bit of tyre noise as well. The best way to drive this car is quite light-handed. So you steer quite lightly, you accelerate lightly, that's going to save fuel. You also brake lightly. But if you do brake a little bit harder, because you've got that regeneration system on the braking system, which recharges the batteries using kinetic energy, it does snatch a little, which is a little bit surprising, but you very quickly get used to it. What the Ioniq does is take modern technology that is complicated and is the future, and puts it in an everyday, usable, easy to understand package that's not going to scare you. My mum's not going to get in here and go, I don't know how to turn it on, I don't know how to do this. It's, you get in, you drive, you go. You save the planet. So what's the final verdict on the Hyundai Ioniq? Well, downsides are the rear roof pillars are a little bit thick, so it obscures your over-the-shoulder view, and that central bar through the rear window does the same thing, but obscures your rear view. But that's really about it. The rest of it's fantastic. It's comfortable, it drives well, it's got a great gearbox, it's economical, there's enough power when you need it, and it's under £20,000, meaning it's £3,000 less than its nearest rival, the Toyota Prius. Might be onto a winner here.